Welcome to another episode of I Think I Love You with your host as always, Loverboy Los. Happy 2019 everyone. First episode of the year. Let's get it. And I'm going to be featuring my friend and recurring guest, Miss Zilot Lopez. Now, as you may remember or not, she's a licensed marriage and family therapist. And since we recorded this episode, she's a psychotherapist as well too. Yes, she's fully duly licensed now. So congrats to Zilot. And also, she's going to be giving a ton of great advice. So if you want to know more about her or just visit her website, it's www.vidatherapy.co, not .com, .co. Again, it's www.vidatherapy.co. So go check it out. And what we talk about this episode is dating as a professional because, you know, some of these people may be busy. You may feel like you don't have time to date. You may be trying to date someone that's a professional. And by professional, I mean someone that's on their hustle, someone's on entrepreneur style that may be busy, or someone that just has a 9 to 5 that doesn't always have the time to date. And don't worry, we got you. Got all your bases covered, so a ton of great advice on here. So go ahead, listen, and let me know. Rate, review, iTunes, share with your friends, because we got a ton of great episodes coming up for you guys. Can't wait to share. So enjoy the episode. Oh, and one more thing. We did record this episode on Instagram Live, so you'll hear us announcing that. We just wanted to try a little something new, so went well. Going to be planning out more videos like this and interviews, so hopefully you guys enjoy it.
Welcome to I Think I Love You, where we keep it real with your past, current, and future relationships. With your host, Loverboy Los.
Welcome everyone to another episode of I Think I Love You. My producer Anthony isn't here, but he's always putting that work. He's editing. He's trying to get me more people to interview, all that fun stuff. I'm over here, Instagram Live too, as we're recording this, with Miss Zilot Lopez.
Hi, everyone.
She's one of my few recurring guests over here. I think this is the 4th time you're on my podcast.
Yeah.
Tell the people what you've been doing.
So a little bit about myself. My name is Zilot Lopez, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And this is definitely not a substitute for therapy. Just a disclosure, no suing here.
We're just talking as friends.
Yes. We're just talking here a little bit about relationships and dating and what's going on out there in regards to people and couples.
Mm-hmm. And you guys are going to hear a lot about this. I got a lot of questions that some of my listeners have been wanting to know about just dating as a professional. And I thought me and you could talk about this subject, right, Z?
That's right.
So one of the things that I always find myself is if I want to date a girl that has a super busy schedule, when I was single, I'm not single anymore. But if I was, it'd be really hard for me to get on her schedule just because, like, man, I'm only going to see you, twice a month? If that, should guys like me give girls that have this ridiculous schedule, give them a shot, or how do they compromise that?
That's a great question. And I think the real question there is it worth it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing as, leveling up or leveling down. If a person's schedule is that busy to where you literally got to pencil in time together, you got to really question why it is you're pursuing that in the first place. Is it because the person is just fantastic and out of this world and you can't give up that chance to be with them?
Yeah.
Really understand your priorities.
See, and that's my thing too, because what if that girl is not really trying to date, but she's just trying to, still have someone on the side, if I want to say that, because, people don't want to be lonely if you're busy too, because I was in that stage too, like, man, I'm always busy, but I want to still find someone too. Like what's the balance in that? I guess it has to be on the person though.
Of course, every person is different, but it's also understanding what need am I trying to have met, right?
Yeah.
Inside all of us, we have this, what I call this cup. And some people's cup is more full than others. Some people have a little bit of water and some have the whole 8 ounce.
Yeah.
For the people that have the whole 8 ounce on their own by themselves, they're not going to need another person to fulfill that. They're going to be wanting to be with a person just because they love them and because they enjoy their company, not because they can't go to the movies by themselves, they can't go to the park by themselves, or date themselves, really.
Yeah. because I think a lot of people can get stuck in those ways.
Yeah.
Of just like, yeah, because it is hard just going. It's like you have to, but I guess you have to go through that stage too to know that it's all right to do that.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I think I told you when I was single, I went to the first time ever the movie theater by myself because I always thought it was weird if you ever went to a movie theater. But it was cool. I was like, man, this is like nice. You get to talk to people and do all that stuff.
Yes, and I think one of the most beautiful things that you and I have discussed, over the years and over the months is what you personally learned about yourself relationships in therapy.
No, that's even the most like that's probably the most important part that I took away from that, because not only does that help me in my life, but that also helped me work wise with my regular relationships with friends, family, all that stuff. So props to you and all the other therapists in the world, because we definitely need more and people need to go to them more often too. So
Yes. Going to a therapist is just like taking a shower. It's mental hygiene. People would be offended if you didn't shower after like a couple days. So it's not a shock to me how things are going on inside our head, but yet we need to clear it with somebody, a professional that knows what to do with that. Yeah.
Exactly. And another thing too, while we're on this subject, is that what if the person that you're dating, because I was kind of afraid to like show a girl that I was going to therapy, and I felt like, oh man, what she's gonna think, like I'm crazy, or like, oh man, it's like you're still stuck on your ex or something like that. Like how does a guy like me get out of that situation?
So you're asking for people that are currently in therapy and they're dating, they're out there, they're trying to find the one.
Is that something you would share, or is that something, I guess it's something that you would share after a while that you get to know that person?
That's a great question. I think it's very different though than something like having children. If you're dating and you have a child, wait a quick minute before you bring up that subject or even introduce the children to the partner, just for healthy boundaries to be established, right? It's the boundaries part. For me, answering that question, it's really just the level of comfortability of the person.
Yeah.
And more so, if the person owns it and just like, yeah, I'm going to therapy, I'm working on myself, like I'm working on my mental hygiene, excellent. They are more authentic and just more aware of who they are and what they want. I am a true believer, and I've said this before, that I have no shame in telling people within my lifetime, even as a provider, as a mental health professional, I have received therapy before. And it only makes me stronger as a person also for futuristically, for partnership, for marriage, whatever life may bring.
Yeah. And I think it's important to know yourself too, because that's a lot that brings out of it. So you see, another thing is too, one of the questions that I've been getting from the listeners is, what about how does the chemistry flow within one another as you're dating with someone that has this busy schedule? Because you got to get to know someone, and if you're only going to see them once or twice, what's some of the things that you can do to see each other more frequently? I heard a story before where this couple, they had this crazy schedule, but they would always go to lunch together every day for like 20 minutes, because that's the only time that they could see each other, and they made the effort to. So what's some of the things that you think people can do more to, just make time for each other?
That's great. Where are they at?
I know, right?
Where are those people?
A good couple.
Yeah. Once again, I think it's priorities. If they matter to you, you're going to make time.
Yeah.
One of the biggest understatements, I believe, is like, oh, I don't have time for that. Nah, you got time for what you make a priority.
Yeah.
So if it's a person, then you're going to make time for them.
Because, and what about the people who are always hustling though, and there comes a time where you meet this really dope person, and now it's like, oh shoot, this person's gonna cut in some of my time, some of my work, some of the hustle. Like, that's a scary thought to, I guess, a lot of entrepreneurs, because I don't see a lot of people when they're really on their grind mode and focused, they don't really get into relationships all the time. And what's your opinion on that? Do you think?
I would agree with that. They don't, because their hustle's the number one thing on their mind. But more so, there has to be somebody pretty amazing that comes along and, puts some ripples in their ocean for them to change, for them to say, okay, I'm going to invest in this. And as much as we like to think that love is kind and love is beautiful and
Yeah.
love just is. In actuality, for a relationship to work, there has to be concrete evidence, there has to be feelings, there's all this content that you have to
Time,
consider. And if you're not considering your time and investment in that relationship, then you might lose out. And what I mean by losing out is it might not work because you're not considering different factors that are involved.
Yeah, and I think it's also about timing too.
Yeah.
Because if you're just like in there 24/7, just like barely running on sleep too, and not, like people get grumpy when they're sleepy, so you might want to be around that person. So yeah, it's definitely about priorities. People need to check themselves before they get into it. Yeah, so because I'm kind of like that right now. I make time for my girlfriend, and then I do this, and then you know I got my regular job too, and it's like always so hectic. What can couples do to just just relax more if they're dating someone like me?
Well, I think what couples can do is just to schedule ahead of time. It was very interesting.
See, planning, yeah.
Yes, planning ahead. And it's difficult with some people. They're like, oh, well, we'll just see what comes up. But more so when that happens, then nothing. Then you get schedules that are mixed up. But I read an article a while back from a colleague of mine that wrote to schedule sex. And I read it and it was very interesting.
I heard about that.
Yeah, it was very interesting because from a clinical perspective, we think, well, that's something that should just come about freely.
Yeah.
But if you schedule it, then it's just like eating. Like, all right, I know I'm going to get lunch at 12 and I'm going to eat at 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, so scheduling definitely helps.
Oh man, I'm glad you brought that up too, because I remember reading something similar. I don't know if it was the same article, but I've read that too, that you should schedule sex with your partner because that way it, just keep the love going. People want to feel love. So there you go. Couples out there, schedule your sex time because it's not always spontaneous. And you know this, guys especially, you just don't want to say it. Yeah, so one of the things too is, how do you feel about, approaching, because guys can be worried about this too, approaching women that may seem kind of like at their levels in a way of like an entrepreneur, like, oh man, she's like such a hustler, such a grinder. Like, not saying that guys will be in awe, but they might
be
intimidated by this person because they might see, oh man, she like wants me to have my shit together already. Like shit. I'm like, no, like what do you say to guys like that? They're trying to just approach women in that way, because sometimes I felt like I had to have a certain amount of money or a certain stage in my life to status even to date this woman.
To that, I'd say we attract what we are.
So
what most people don't see is, let's just say that somebody says like, yo, I'm an 8, and that's what I am.
Yeah.
All right, great. So they try and go for like the 9, right? Like wherever they're at, right? And that's great and dandy. But what's interesting is what we don't see. People are more attracted to the outside.
Yeah.
My curiosity as a psychotherapist is the inside. Yeah. We attract what we are. We attract our improvements. We attract the amazing parts of ourselves, but we also attract the not so great, the ugly, the bad, the parts of ourselves that we negate and we throw away, which is the lost self, the shadow self. And for example, if we attract somebody that perhaps hasn't had all the conflict resolved with their parents, it's quite possible we haven't resolved that either. We attract what we are. A very wise person that I work closely with is amazing. And he advises or says that we date at our level of self-esteem. Yeah.
That's totally true because...
Yes.
Wow. I'm going to take that whole...
Yeah.
That's crazy because I've seen that a lot too. And just like, some girls that I've dated in the past, they're like pretty... like very pretty, but they didn't think that themselves.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was like, whoa, that's kind of weird, but like maybe they're just being modest too. So, damn, thanks for explaining that, Z. I appreciate that. And one of the things too that I think just like dating as professionals, we're calling this episode the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yes.
What's some of the ugly out there as professionals like me and you are that we have to face and all that? Because some of the things that I hate is just, or the things I don't like is just having this schedule, having all these different priorities, and then, just maintaining these profiles, like the Instagram profiles, and having a certain marketing,
yes.
certain brand
yes.
too. So saying when I was single, I wouldn't always bring up this podcast because I didn't want them knowing everything about me, right? 'Cause
Absolutely.
So that's some of the stuff that I gotta go through. And it just, I feel like so many other people were just like, I guess they gotta put in the time and they gotta get to know the person. And the way we kind of gotta like, not hide it, but not tell this about, or some parts of our lives about that person.
That's a great point, and I could definitely relate. So as a psychotherapist, a lot of people see in the movies or in the media of like, oh, well, are you analyzing me?
Yeah.
And that goes with family, that's with friends, that's with even somebody you're interested romantically. And, just to be transparent, I have had that experience. I've gone out on a date and they say, so you're a couples therapist? You see couples? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And they're like, but you're single? Like, how does that work, right? It's kind of like you're a realtor selling a house, but you live in an apartment. And to that, I'd say that because we have this perspective as clinical, like as psychotherapists, we're highly trained to see red flags. So if anything, if the person is doing their work, they're a little more aware of what may happen or what may come up. So we are able to identify patterns a lot sooner. So we'll cut it and just quick. Hence why the pool of people becomes smaller. Yes. So as professionals, the best suggestion I can give is work on yourself. Really become in tune with what it is that you want, but also your wounds. Because you want to ask yourself when you're dating and a lot of decisions in your life, are you being led by your wound or are you being led by your heart space? And if you were making decisions based off on the wound, it's not going to end up good. It's going to end up ugly.
You don't want to go down that path too. I just, because if you're just trying to like, I guess put a Band-Aid over it by dating someone, that's just bad on both people. So it's definitely not good to do that, and people need to, it's just like you said, take the time, go about themselves, see what they can fix, what they cannot, but also just dating other professionals too. And there are some good things too, because that this person is working hard. So I'm thinking like this person is going to work hard in a relationship too, right? What would you say about that?
I think in some cases it doesn't translate.
No way.
I've definitely had experiences where the professional is amazing in their own industry and they're rocking it. But as far as investment into a relationship, they're not having it. They're just not ready for commitment. And that's really what it's about, of knowing when you choose partnership or a romantic relationship, is the person invested? Because a relationship is just like a bank account. You can't just have withdrawal. You're going to end up with a lot of fees from the bank. And emotionally, fees from the bank for us are hardships. You're resentful. You're angry. You just don't want to be with them anymore. Like, nah, you ignored me, right? But when you make deposits, it's an equal relationship. It's deposit, withdrawal, deposit. And not necessarily like a balance 50-50, but a nice wave. A beautiful part of relationships is just like the ocean of waves. I'll explain. So it's this beautiful mix of yourself and togetherness. So it's you, us, you, us, you, us. And as that pattern goes together, you get this beautiful balance. It's dance. It's
both people gotta be feeling it. Both, oh man, you can't be hesitant in it. It's like jumping in the water.
That's right. Absolutely. And you can't be scared either, because not everything's going to work out. You got to give it your best shot.
And I can definitely relate to that, because I didn't want to jump in a relationship right away. Even with the girl I'm dating right now, I was like, oh, do I really want to do this? Like, I think it falls, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it falls on more on guys too. Like, they just don't want to commit to that person just yet. And I did have a fear of, dang, what if I'm not going to be on my hustle as much on this podcast too?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. What do you think are some common concerns or challenges that professional men might have that they would want to ask a therapist, or even in their own therapy that they've asked but are too shamed to ask in public?
Ooh, just about our relationships or just love?
Just in general.
I think more guys that are trying to make something, and I had this too, is just to put themselves out there. Just put my voice, like, oh, what if people hate this? Like, the girls that I date are gonna hear this. I'm gonna be so embarrassed. Like, when my girlfriend hates this, you know? So definitely the person, whatever you work or whatever you put into your work, you just know that the people outside are gonna be looking at it. Your, girlfriends, baby mamas, whoever you're dating, they're gonna, wouldn't say, and that's how you would know if they're gonna judge you off of that. Like, oh man, like, what is this? Like, but the real supporters are gonna be there and have you 100%. So in a way, that kind of lessens the pool too. Like you said, you just weave them through. So I think that's something as guys or men just gotta realize too, that you just gotta put your work out there. Don't be ashamed of who you are, and don't be afraid of, because people are always gonna judge.
Of
That
course.
shouldn't, yeah.
Yes.
That should not stop you from
Yes.
doing it.
If there's anything I've learned from this whole situation of dating or just romantic partnership or finding the one, finding your other half, is definitely having a sense of humor. And you have to have one, because even myself as a professional, I've been thrown a couple, low blows verbally, and I'm like, what?
Oh, wow.
Like, what is that? So, there's been a couple times where like, are you analyzing me? Like, you're not my therapist. I'm not trying to be like, did you see an invoice?
Yeah, like,
I'm not charging
man,
you.
I can't believe you had to deal with that stuff before.
I think it comes with the territory, and that also goes into professionals dating within the same field. Sometimes, it might work out. I know definitely couples that they're both accountants, they're both lawyers, they're both doctors, and it's a beautiful partnership because they get it. They get the work, right?
You can always talk about something too.
Yeah, that's why we always see a lot of actors dating other actors or models, because they're in the industry, they get it. But I think there's a couple fields where it's pretty touchy. And it's perhaps even maybe with psychotherapists, because they both are highly aware and trained on how to identify patterns. Yeah,
I can see that too. So, oh man, yeah, because I know people that probably just know all the stuff that you're like, oh, you're probably doing this wrong, or just like, why are you getting mad at me right now, and stuff like that. Then you do bring up a good point though, because to me, I don't always would want to date someone in my field, because it's fun learning about that other person's field too. Seeing if I was dating a doctor, or if I was dating, like, I don't know, a professional skateboarder or something like that.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to like, oh shit, I have no idea what that has to do, but you can always talk to me, and the person that you're dating is probably going to be interested in your field too.
And not so much if they're not interested. They like you. So regardless, they're going to be open to talking about it and what you love to do. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's cool what you said. I like that a lot of people, some of it does work together as, professionals, that are models, actors, surfboarders, whoever. And one of the things I do want to like ask you too is, how does these relationships keep on going? How do they evolve after that? Because, you're getting to know this person, business is booming, hopefully. And
it always is.
Yes. One of my fears is like, what if the work that I'm doing pops off, like, to a status that I'm like really happy about. And now you have to juggle all this extra work. Like, how does one deal with that? And like, do you keep on going with the same flow, or do you have to switch some things up with your significant other?
I think it's all of the above. It's really just riding the waves with your partner, and knowing when to slow down, when to push on the gas pedal, when to say like, wait a minute, I need to spend more time here. It's investing, just like, you have the clown that juggles all the balls, and if you don't time each one accordingly, one is going to fall out. So it's the same thing with different aspects of your life. The happiness also level includes a balance of each. Each person's balance is different though. So for some people, it's definitely 50 hours at work week and maybe like 20 hours at home. That's just their life. Versus other people, they just have to have more time at home. It's an individual basis. The most important thing, though, is understanding and having awareness when things aren't going right. Red flags, avoidance. Okay. One of the key components here for couples or relationships that I've learned that shocked me is the most dangerous place for a couple to be is when there are no longer fighting, when there is no more conflict left.
Wow, no way.
Because they are done fighting. They've given up the sword and they're like, I'm done. That's it. It's a dangerous place. That is the step right before divorce or separation or a breakup. If the couple is still fighting and there's still conflict and they're still willing and down to fight for their relationship, that's a good place to be. So conflict is a good sign. Conflict still is a form of communication. It's not the best form, but it is a form of communication.
So you're saying I need to start more fights with my girlfriend? Okay. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's cool because in a way you're showing passion too. If you're getting that conflict, and it's just, I think I'm always scared to like always argue. You know, I'm always like, all right, we'll do it your way. Like I just don't. You know that motto, happy wife, happy life?
Yeah.
Sounds like, all right, we'll do it your way. I don't care.
Right. Sounds like a smart man.
So, no, that's definitely shocking to me because I didn't know that. I thought, oh, you always got to be trying to be in a happy place and not always try to argue or fight. I mean, you can have little arguments in there, but just that makes so much sense now. And just having that like as a passion, just growing in between both of you.
Of course. And I want to be clear though, when I say conflict, I mean verbal conflict that is still something that you can manage. I'm not talking about verbal abuse or domestic violence. That's a whole nother level.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. You guys wait for that one, part 2 coming up.
Right.
Oh, and so I appreciate you saying that, Z. Thank you for clearing up. And I think my listeners can take a lot from what you just said on that segment. And hopefully the people that are professionals out there know how to date, know how to go out there. And you don't even have to date too. That's the thing that I'm trying to say, that you don't have to date if you don't want to, just because you're friends. I think we get caught up sometimes like, oh, our friends got girlfriends.
They're all cuffed up. I got to be cuffed up too. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and I could definitely speak to that. I am fully aware that when a person has worked on themselves and they are okay dating themselves, they enjoy their time with themselves. Yeah. It's not a problem. So when somebody really wonderful comes along, it's an additive. It's literally frosting on the cake. The other person should not be the cake. They are not the eggs, the flour, the milk, the mix. They're not. You are. You are the prized possession, and not in a narcissistic way, but just fully understanding what the base is. Yeah. If you and yourself are not complete, that relationship down the road is going to break. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I before the we.
Do you think people need to be complete before they get in a relationship, or can they grow into that complete person while you're dating
I think both are possible. Okay. Obviously, to get the best results, know yourself as well as you can. And then when you get a relationship, be willing to still work on yourself and still be open and say, well, maybe I've grown in this aspect, but my partner hasn't. And same thing, just ride the waves together of knowing we're going to grow together. And I know that's progress for each or individually is going to be slower, faster than one or the other. Yeah.
It can definitely go that way too. Thanks for clearing that up too. Yeah. Gives hope to other guys like me.
Of course. And not only that, I think all of this is confusing and all of this is fun. And that's the whole point. Because love and probably, traffic in LA are two things we've never really fully understood how it works. Right?
Yeah. Oh, so many lanes open all the time, but they're not.
Right.
Well, thank you a lot, Z. I do want to give my listeners a chance to find out where they can get more of your speeches or where they can just find out more about you. Because
thank you.
I feel like people really gravitate towards you. A lot of my friends always talk about you, like, oh, when are you going to get your friend on again? Like, I really like the way she speaks, the stuff that she speaks about. So I just want to give this out to my new listeners where they can find you.
Yeah, thank you. So I do have a private practice in Sherman Oaks currently. I do see couples, I see individuals, and the best client that I'm very passionate about working with is young professionals, entrepreneurs that are looking to work on themselves. Once again, like I said, the I before the we. Working on relationship with self. As well, I am licensed to work with families and children because that goes hand in hand, right? Because people get together, they have kids, and then, you don't know what to do with that problem that comes up. They could find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Vida Therapy. So that's VIDA Therapy. And my website is www.vidatherapy.co, not .com.
.co.
.co.
And make sure you check out that website too, especially the part where you got the free resources.
Yes, I got some free resources on there.
Yeah, a lot of good websites, a lot of good apps.
Books.
Yeah, books there too. Man, I went through there. I was like, yo, you spent a lot of time on this.
I did, absolutely. And I'm a firm believer that if we educate ourselves, we will have a better future.
Yeah, definitely. Always got to stay learning. Always got to stay motivated. So thanks a lot, Z. Appreciate you doing this, and we'll be back next week.
Yes,
another episode.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so I hope you guys learned something from that. Dating isn't always easy, especially when your work schedule is like crazy, mad busy. But hey, we did our best to give you some advice just from our own personal stories. So go visit Z's website. That's www.vidatherapy.co, not .com, .co. I'll also be leaving that in the show notes so you guys can go visit her. And if you want to also follow me on Instagram, it's Loverboylos. Twitter is Loverboyloso. And my Facebook page is I Think I Love You. Now, please share, review this podcast because that's the only way we grow. And that's how we can keep giving you more episodes of all this love topics, relationships, because it ain't easy. There's no guidelines, but hey, we do our best to do it. So help everyone has a great 2019. I know we're going to be having so many more episodes, so please subscribe and tell all your friends. Peace out.